All right, let's look at the dynamic considerations, both in terms of actions by the entrants and also time. The three scenarios, just for us to compare, are one, we're lucky, nobody enters. So we're staying a monopoly. In this case, the profit we make as a monopoly is equal to the profit for now, and then a profit for a year from now, etc. So we see time represented by the exponent here, time 1, 2, 3, etc. And the interest rate is the money, cost of money for the monopoly. In this case, this expression simplifies to this end result of the profit in 1 year grown by 1 year and then to the divided by interest. So this is the net present value of this stream of profits for the monopoly as a monopoly. Second, let's say it's a scenario where we hold up the monopoly pricing for 1 year and then the entry does occur. So we're forced to react, drop our price, increase our quantity, thereby hurting our own profits. So in this scenario, notice that pi m is only for year 1. And then thereafter, we're in a duopoly. So this pi d represents a lower level of profit. So we have 1 year of monopoly profit, and thereafter, we're a duopoly, and it stays that way because the new entrant carves out a position and stays in. So in this case, the expression here summarizes into pi to the monopoly, so this is year 1, and then plus pi or profit for the duopoly divided by I. So this is the present value of this mixed condition of monopoly for 1 year, duopoly thereafter. The third condition is let's try limit pricing. And limit pricing means that we're not going to hold up prices at the monopoly level. We'll go right to the limit pricing at the first get-go. And right here, see pi or profit for the limit pricing is persistent all the way through. And we're assuming success, that because of limit pricing, no one enters. So this is our first and infinite profit level under limit pricing scenario. And the observation, first of all, is when you compare this expression here to this expression here, we see that as long as the profit for the monopoly is greater than the profit for a duopoly, we're not going to like it, right? So the first observation, I think, is obvious, that a duopoly is less advantageous to the monopoly. So that's why the monopoly might try to do something to preempt that from happening. Therefore, they consider voluntarily lowering the profit. And that's what scenario 3 is. They're voluntarily reducing their profit in order to deter entry. So now look at this. It's all the profit at the limit entry all the way through. That simplifies to these expressions. The profit for the limit plus the long-term value of that particular level of profit. And that summarizes this expression. And when we look at the comparison, so let's say there's no way we're going to avoid something in this market. So the choice of a monopoly is, do I want to risk this, which I don't like, or do I want to take this action, which may increase the chance of me maintaining slightly better profit than under the duopoly scenario? The test to say, is this formula better than this formula, looks at the relationship of the profits under those scenarios. And limit pricing is superior if the profit from limit pricing minus the profit from the duopoly divided by I, or profit difference through end of time, so that's the left side of the expression, is greater than the profit of the monopoly minus the profit under limited, right? So if this condition holds, then the answer is limit pricing is better than risking and getting into a duopoly. That's a lot to say. Now let's look at that final expression more closely and think of the business things that can be done. So when we look at the condition where this is going to happen, these are all contributing to the limit pricing working. First, if I is low, then that's going to be advantageous to make the left term bigger, because if I is low, that means the discount rate is lower, which means the present value of any stream of money is higher. So that would boost this up. Secondly, is that the monopoly and limit price profits are close. So that's right here. If the difference between monopoly and limit pricing is close, again, that's going to drive the right side of this expression low. So you're not giving up much, right? If you're not giving up much for a limit, then you're more inclined to do it. If you're giving up a lot of profit, then you're less inclined to do it. So that's what the second observation means. And then the duopoly profit are significantly lower than the limit price profits, and that's the numerator on the left side. So in this expression, if the duopoly prices are significantly less than the limit pricing, again, you'd have more incentive for you to take on the limit pricing because there's a higher price for you to pay, so to speak, if you were to lose out and allow the duopoly to exist. Let's try this out with an example. So Baker Enterprise operates a mid-sized company that specializes in a memory chip. It currently is the only firm in the market, and it earns $10 million per year by charging a monopoly price of $115. Baker is concerned that a new entry might happen to clone its product, and if that happens, profit for Baker would drop to $4 million. And the estimates are that if Baker somehow increases his output to 280,000 units, which would then have a corresponding drop in the market price to 100, the entrant will stay out of the market and Baker will earn profits of $8 million compared to the $10 million from the monopoly condition. Question is, what must Baker do to credibly deter the entry by limit pricing? In other words, set the stage. Secondly, does it make sense? Let's assume that all happens and this scenario plays out. Does it make sense for Baker to do limit pricing if the interest rate is 10%? So on the first question, what must they do? Baker must tie its hands to prevent itself from cutting output lower. What that means is they could invest in more facilities, more equipment, etc. So it signals to the entrant that, oh, they're serious. This is not a temporary thing. They're gearing up to maintain or even exceed the level of 280,000. So it shows the seriousness of the commitment to this higher volume. That's not just a short-term fix to keep people away. And furthermore, that has to be visible to entries. So you would have ribbon cutting ceremonies, press releases, you'd be bragging about it in the press so that everyone sees that you're bulking up and, in other words, stay away. Next, how does it make sense for Baker to do that given the information provided and an interest rate of 10%? Here we're going to use that relationship we just saw previously and plug in the numbers. So what is the profit under the limit pricing? We were given that number. It's $8 million. What is the profit difference of the entry? We're given that also, that our profit would drop to $4 million. What's the interest rate? Also given 10%. And we compare that to what is the profit under the monopoly? That was our current condition of $10 million. And what is the profit under limit pricing? And that's $8 million. So if we do the math, it turns out to be 8 minus 4 divided by 0.1. It's 4 divided by 0.1, which is 40. And 40 is way bigger than 10 minus 8, which is 2. In this case, limit pricing is profitable, or at least more profitable than a duopoly. And if the credibility and the deterrence works, it then will be a superior action. And I guess you would think about it as worth the reduced profit to keep out the duopoly. And this is therefore a smart move for Baker to undertake.